in games. This is Tabletop Weekly. My cat is knocking over the garbage, and this is week number 55. The stories that we have for this week. John Kovalik looks back on over 2 decades of Munchkin. Magpie Games unveils the Temeraire RPG and teases Masks the Next Generation update at Gen Con. Starfinder Afterlight computer RPG is announced by Paizo. Free League's new tabletop RPG is like Zelda Breath of the Wild with ripped penguins, jacked even. And the Solarian Patreon has got a whole lot of new stuff up there, courtesy of Blix. So let's dive in. Hold on, let me back up here. Blix me. Okay, you should do the first story so that you end up talking to the Patreon.
All right, I like that. All right, the first story is the Munchkin big box coming. This is John Kovalik looks back on over 2 decades of Munchkins. Munchkin's legacy and impact was that Munchkin, made by Steve Jackson Games, of course, is a satirical card game. Just in case you didn't know, it's a parody of loot-driven D&D playstyle. So basically, murder hobos in the dungeon, right?
Yeah, I mean, Munchkin. It's funny because Munchkin is a divisive game in some ways. I know there's some people who are just like really anti-Munchkin. They just can't stand it when the game comes out. I am exactly the opposite camp. I love Munchkin to pieces.
Wait, there are people who actually hate Munchkin? I mean, I can see why you might not like it, but why would you hate it?
They are snobs. That's why. I mean, no, okay. There is a little bit of a legitimate gripe to have, which is that when you get up to level 10, when you're fighting for level 10, it's really hard to ever finally just go out and win because everybody's always pulling the person back. So that last level can really take a long time. So, but I mean, big deal. So make it level 9 then. Just, whatever. I don't care. But yeah, there's some people who, I don't know what it is. They just don't. They think they're too cool for Munchkin. And I'm telling you right now, you're not too cool for Munchkin. Nobody is. Munchkin is too cool for you. All right? It is the first time I ever saw somebody who had a real big RPG collection. It was Tavis Allison. It was when we were just thinking about starting to revive the TSR name back in 2010 or something like that. And we were making all these plans, and I went over to Tavis's house, and he had this just great RPG collection, all kinds of stuff, fun to look through. But what really kind of jumped out at me was he had every Munchkin card that had been published up to that date, just boxes, the big loot boxes. I was just like, wow, someday I want to have that many Munchkin cards. And there's just, you can play this with really casual players. You can play it with really serious players. Everybody's going to have a good time. It is just ridiculous, funny, fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have to play it sometime because I've seen people play it. I've never actually played it.
Oh yeah. And we definitely have to do it with Mike because one of the best parts about Munchkin, it's a screw your buddy game.
Okay.
And I just feel like he would get properly angry when he was just about to go out and we all slapped a whole bunch of cards down on him.
It sounds fun.
It's fun because basically the premise of Munchkin is that, like you said, it's a dungeon, kick down the door. Like every turn you're kicking down the door and you can either loot the room or fight the monster or whatever. And your character sheet is all the cards in front of you. So as you collect cards for your +2 boots of ass kicking or whatever it might be, that builds your character sheet. And you can then slap modifiers on other people's character sheets, on your own in the middle of a fight. You can help the monster. You can help your buddy. You can help the monster kill your buddy and take all the loot for yourself. It is just, it's very fast paced. It's very fun.
Awesome. Hey, Mike Pickett says, Wednesday night before TotalCon, a Munchkin night. Maybe that, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
100% down.
Let's do it.
Down with that. So I was bummed about the Munchkin big box because I did not know about the Kickstarter when it happened because this is the nature of the algorithm, right? I love Munchkin. I love Steve Jackson Games. I love gaming. I back Kickstarters. So you would think somewhere in there, Facebook would have, and they were blasting the world with it. They were like, hey, everybody, somehow it never showed up in my feed.
Oh,
I got plenty of crap that I never wanted to see from groups I'd
right.
never heard of
Yeah.
that I just had to keep going hide, hide, hide. At no point did Facebook ever let me see that this thing was going on. And none of my friends were, I think anybody who would have told me about it probably just assumed I'd already backed it.
Right. Right.
Why would they think to tell me about something that I, assume I already know? So I missed the Kickstarter. So there's some cool stuff in there that I'm not going to get, but the big box itself, I don't know, is it on sale now?
Let's see. It says to celebrate the milestone, Steve Jackson Games launched the Munchkin Big Box, their most successful crowdfunding campaign to date.
Yep.
700 cards, 50 new blah blah blah, 50 new cards. I might just go over this because it's on my list.
Yep.
50 new cards, 40 customizable blanks, bookmarks, dice, meeples, card dividers, and Spike Elemental Pen, a designed rule book, and 2 game boards. And I did not write down when it came out.
So we don't know if it's coming out, if it's out yet or not. I'll go see and I'll buy it if it isn't, or if it is already. But yeah, that's another cool thing about it is that there's lots of modifier cards that come in there, right? And so a lot of times Steve Jackson will do things that give you special cards that you can use. Like if you go to a certain event, there might be a bookmark that you can only get at that event that you can use there. Or if you ever meet Steve Jackson, he will write something on one of your, if Steve Jackson writes, I forget what it is, there's something he'll write on one of your cards that gives you a special power, but you only get that power if Steve Jackson himself has put it on your card.
That's cool.
I
like that.
It is because I've had him do that on my cards a couple of times. But
Really cool.
yeah. So anyways, whenever, and that's the other thing is the artwork. I mean, John Kovalick's art, he's one of the most legendary cartoonists in the gaming world. Who doesn't love John Kovalick?
Right. Yeah. Why wouldn't you? It's good
Nobody.
stuff.
Nobody doesn't love John Kovalick. So
yeah, it's funny because John Kovalick, it said that he was surprised at the success of Munchkin. Apparently, he had expected that Shays Geek
yes,
to be the breakout hit, and it was actually Munchkin.
Shay Geek is fun. It's still, I mean, there's a bunch of those Shay Geek and Shay Goth and things like that where you're playing roommates that all have to, I forget, do what. I mean, they're fine, they're fun, but they don't have the staying power that Munchkin does.
It's funny. It's just like it reminds me of the whole like Magic the Gathering. Yeah, Magic the Gathering. How he had thought that the other game was going to be the successful one.
Yeah, the robot. What was the programmable robot game that he made first?
Oh, I don't know. I think there's a role-playing game he was trying to make.
No, the role-playing game. Well, that one Peter was making the role-playing game.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, Peter. Yeah. Okay.
But then, but I don't think he ever thought that was going to be a breakout. He was working at Boeing. He just was making a role-playing game because it was a fantasy heartbreaker, and
What I think he was trying to sell Magic so he could make enough money to actually do something with the role-playing game, and he thought that would be more successful than Magic. Maybe that it would be the big breakout, but that would be like his more successful product. And he couldn't have been more wrong.
Well, oh my God, who's the Magic inventor? The guy who invented Magic. I forgot his name now, but the reason he invented Magic was because he actually wanted he thought Robo Rally was going to be his big game.
Okay.
And so when Peter Atkinson said, Robo Rally is cool, but I can't afford to publish something that fancy, could you make something simpler like just a card game? And he's like, all right, here's a card game. I'm whatever,
It's awesome.
But yeah, Munchkin has, I guess, something in common with Magic. I don't know if I wouldn't call it a collectible card game, but it's along those lines.
Yeah. So anyway, so the story is actually that it's coming up on the 25th anniversary in next year, and that's sort of like the story here and how all this came about, and that's why they launched the Kickstarter and everything. So that's going to be cool. Also, one more thing about John Kovalick. He said that, or it says that he illustrated over 8,000 cards, over 8,000, but he doesn't know how many because he stopped counting after 7,500.
Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, he's a great artist, and he's just so prolific because he still does Dork Tower every, I don't know, is it once a week or twice a week?
Oh, right. He's the guy that does Dork Tower, right? Yeah, okay.
Ton of Dork Tower. He does all these other things. I just hope he never gets tired of doing it because I never get tired of looking at his cartoons.
Awesome.
And, all right, I see Kevin Borup says he wants to play some too. So, or you says it's a ton of fun. So yeah, we got to get some Munchkin games going.
All right, cool, cool. All right, well, let's go to the next story then.
Right. Next story, Magpie. Okay, this one is close to my heart because it's one of my favorite authors who I never thought this would get made into an RPG, and it has. All right, so Naomi Novik is one of my favorite authors. She's written a lot of different things. She has some very good, um, sort of almost traditional fantasy kind of stuff. But my favorite of her books is this series, the Temeraire series.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, the premise is pretty easy to explain. It is a historical fiction set in the Napoleonic era, completely historically accurate in every way, with one exception: dragons are real.
Mm-hmm.
So, what would the Napoleonic Wars be like if both sides had had an air force, basically?
Jeez. Okay.
It's amazing. So, Temeraire is the name of the main dragon. There's a lot of other dragons that I can't remember all the names of because it's been a while since I've read. I know there's like Arcady, Maximus, I forget who else. Then there's some human captains like Captain Tharkay and Berkeley and Granby, who I think is one of the main ones. But anyway, um, so it starts out, the first book is pretty straightforward. It's Napoleonic battles with dragons involved. And then you get Lord Nelson, of course, as you have the naval battles. But then as the stories go on, she really investigates, well, what would this dragon society be like? So the dragons in the books they're sapient, like humans.
Okay. All right.
They're intelligent like humans, but they're a different type of intelligence, because you wouldn't just have human intelligence in a different body. Your body affects the way you
Yeah.
think,
All right.
so they're a completely, it's almost like an alien race, because they're as intelligent as humans, but they think differently, being dragons. And the way that the humans relate to them kind of falls somewhere between horses and pets, even though, so the dragons over time become to realize, that we're not really being treated as equals here. And why are these little puny humans thinking that they can act better than us? And I won't talk too much about the different things that happen, but I will say that there is one point, I forget which of the books, where the dragons discover that there's a slave trade in Africa. And they're like, hold on a second.
Wait a minute.
Hold up. So they're forcing us into their armies, and then they're doing this to other humans. Let's think about this for a second.
Man, these humans aren't so great.
No. And that falls right in my favorite theme of humans aren't so great.
Right.
So anyway, but the thing is that Naomi Novik is one of those rare generational talents who is right up there with like Bernard Cornwell and Madeleine L'Engle, in being able to write something that's so complex but just flows. It doesn't ever feel like you're dealing with some like China Mieville where they're really, really trying to impress you with all the words they know. She has the ability.
Look how smart I am and how smart I write. I'm Mr. or Mrs. Smarty.
Yeah, no, it just, I mean, she's obviously brilliant, and she's so smart that she doesn't have to prove it to you.
Right.
And so, yeah, I'm absolutely in love with her writing and with these books. And so now Magpie Games, who I actually don't know about, never heard of them before.
You really? Yeah, they put out a lot of like licensed games. They've put out, I don't remember the actual names right now.
Okay.
But yeah, Magpie Games. Oh, they've been around forever. They put out a lot of stuff.
Okay. So it says here that it uses the Eldana system, previously pre-featured in Fallen London, which I don't know what that is, but if that's a license thing, maybe that's some books I should read. And they're going to be crowdfunding next year. So I'm going to just throw all my money at the screen right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it says here that players will take on roles ranging from nobles to commoners in a war. So you're going to be playing humans.
Oh, okay.
So already I'm kind of like, maybe I want to play the dragons. I mean, but we'll see. It says here that the system emphasizes storytelling and character history over rigid mechanics. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, sure. Why not? Players can reflect their characters' backgrounds and personal arcs within the game world. Die pool mechanic. We like those.
I like those.
Supports multiple layers of gameplay, allowing players and game masters to dive into complex contests. like battles, chases, battles of wits, social clashes. Versatile. Unlike traditional systems that require frequent dice rolls, Eldana, I cannot pronounce this,
Don't worry about
allows players to roll only when it feels essential, encouraging immersion. And I don't agree with this. All right, we'll see. But it does say there's a contrast with Powered by the Apocalypse. So I don't like Powered by the Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe that the purpose of a role-playing game is to tell a story. I don't think that that's why you play a role-playing game. I mean, some people do.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, a story or a narrative-driven game is one where, like PBTA, where the players all kind of say, well, I want the story to go this way, or I want that to happen. And they all get to have a say in what's going to happen. And they get together and they tell a story. And that's really cool if you want to craft a collaborative story.
Sure.
But when I play a role-playing game, I want to have an adventure. I
Mm-hmm.
want the dice to tell me what's going to happen. I don't want to have control over, what the weather is going to be like that day.
Right.
And then when the adventure is over, the story is what we lived through. We tell the story afterwards. So,
Right.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's because I've been in games like Powered by the Apocalypse games where the GM seems like they came in it because they're a frustrated novelist and they want all of the players to basically be their puppets.
Well, I also another problem I find with story play, and again, I like them sometimes, but I would never play a campaign. I would never do it like a story based game. I would do it like at a convention. Like that's fine. One game at a convention, do it. I'm
Sure.
okay with that. But I wouldn't want to like make it, my Friday night for 6 months. Because part of it is that you'll have people who are just naturally better storytellers than others, and people who are more into it, and then they wind up ultimately it just winds up being controlled by them, especially if they're the loudest voice in the room, and you've got anyone else at the table who's a little more passive in their say, and then all of a sudden it becomes this person's story.
Yeah, that's
It's
the frustrating thing, is that it becomes a situation where some people get to really live out the narrative that they want to do, and other people kind of get dragged along. It's not
Mhm.
as equal as all that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just, you're right. I mean, and I like storytelling games for the reason you're saying. It's cool to do it at a convention. So I'm going to buy this 100%. I'm going to buy this, but I suspect what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy this, take all the system stuff, and play it with a different system,
Sure.
because you can do that. That's
Hey,
why we love tabletop.
play it with Lucky 13.
Yeah, exactly. And um, I think that the people that are listening to the show right now, we probably all know that Lucky 13 is available for free, that anybody
Yeah.
can go to SolarianGames.com and you can click Lucky 13 at the top. You can download the game engine and make your own game with it. I won't go into details because I don't like announcing stuff before it's happened. And you don't even know this yet, Peter. I'll tell you about it in the Discord later, which
Okay.
members can join.
Right.
But a prominent game designer in the industry, someone I respect a lot, contacted me today about doing a Lucky 13 game with another luminary from the past,
Ooh,
and having Solarian publish it probably in Q3 of next year. So
awesome. I like the sound of that.
it's very exciting. It's set in the future. It's set around the year 2100,
Ooh.
and it's going to be very cool. So that's all the teasing I'll do about it.
Oh, Brian says I'd like to try Expanse and Lucky 13.
Oh, you got
Yeah.
me. It was those guys. They contacted. No.
They did not.
No. I would have
No.
told you immediately if that.
Yeah. There would have been, my phone would have rang.
Yeah.
If that had been the case.
Not doing.
'Cause that would have
There
been.
already is an Expanse game. It's good, but
Yeah.
you're right. It'd be
Yeah.
good in Lucky 13 too. So,
Yeah.
anyways, doesn't matter.
Wait a minute, real quick, just to be fair to anyone listening, if any game designer listens to this and be like, "Oh, you're promoting," like, "Hey, look, same thing with our stuff. You buy our stuff, you want to put it in a different system, knock yourself out. We're happy, more than happy. That's great. Whatever."
Yeah, if you buy all of our top secret things and you end up playing with the old top secret rules, or you decide to convert them to 5th edition D&D, cool. Just
Cool.
keep
Have at it.
buying the games and telling the story. Not telling the stories, but living out the stories and have fun.
Yeah.
So some other things that they're doing. So that's the main thing for Magpie, is that they're putting one of my favorite book series of all time into a role-playing game. But then they also have something coming out called Masks: The Next Generation, which I'm guessing is superheroes.
Yeah, it's a superhero. That's actually what I meant. Like, they don't have a whole lot of other licensed stuff. I was thinking of somebody else, but they do. They do have the game Masks, which has been very popular. It's a superhero game, but it's,
and it's powered by
again,
the
it's sort of,
apocalypse.
yeah.
So okay, so if you like PBTA and you like superheroes, that would be good. And then they have some upcoming horror-themed RPGs: a reprint of Zombie World, Airlock, which is space horror, and The City Devouring, which is a Cthulhu meets Squid Game. So, Zombie World, don't care. Don't care. Zombies are played out. Tired of zombies. Airlock, that sounds cool. I like space horror.
I
don't like
that.
horror, but I like space horror.
And honestly, if you're gonna play a story game, horror is maybe the best genre to do that with.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. And our own horror story game, Weird Horror, is very much a storytelling game, and you can't buy it because it's out of print, because there were 250 copies and they all went, and we're not going to make them anymore. So poop on that.
Well, we do have some horror stuff coming down the line eventually.
We do.
We have plans.
And then this other one, The City Devouring, Cthulhu meets Squid Game. So I'm not against Cthulhu. I have no problem with it. I'm also not a fan. Like, I like it fine. I'll play the game. I enjoy it, but I never got into the books, into all of the Lovecraft stuff. So I don't really get that world very much, and I've never seen Squid Game. So, but
it's a little played out. I think the Cthulhu stuff. And again, just like you, I'm not knocking it. I like Cthulhu. I love going to a convention and playing. If there's a Cthulhu game I can get into, I absolutely will. Just because it's fun to play the game, and I like the craziness of it. But again, only for a convention game. But when it comes to Cthulhu stuff, I am a little burned out. I've been beaten over the head with it left and right for the last 20 years. And I'm just like, I really would rather play something new, something fresh.
Yeah, it's just it's such a cliche.
Yeah,
Cthulhu stuff. Cthulhu makes great tropes for T-shirts and funny things and comics, and it's a great. Every geek knows how to talk about Cthulhu like they know how to talk about Monty Python, which is great.
Right.
But
yes, they do.
So, anyways, a bunch of cool stuff coming from this company that you know about that I never heard of, and a set of books that I'm in love with. So I'm happy for that.
Nice mix.
Nice mix.
All right. We'll go to the next one here. Hold on. And folks, bear with me. These slides suck. I'm sorry. For some reason, the freaking program won't load it properly. So I'm actually having to use PowerPoint to show them.
I will fall back on my favorite quote, and I don't know who actually said this in the first place, because Douglas Adams used to like repeating it, and he would always credit the person who came up with it. But it's technology is the word that we use when things don't work yet.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm pissed too, because I took extra time to make these slides. I don't know if you noticed, but I put all these pictures together. I put all this together. Actually, I did some real work this time on putting our images together, and then I couldn't load them up properly. And I'm just like,
Well, anyway. I see how hard it is, because last week when I was driving the thing, because you were off in La La Land, I had no idea how to put pictures up. So I'm just like, I'm just going to describe things.
Yeah, it's a slide. You have to make a slideshow.
But that's the thing. As soon as something works 100% every time reliably, we don't call it technology anymore, because now it's just a thing.
Just a thing. Yeah, fair enough.
There was a time when an ink pen was technology. Like, oh my God, this pen, it's magic. Now pens are just pens.
Yeah, I don't have to take a feather and stick it in a.
Yeah. Oh, anyway. I don't think anybody's ever going to get the joke when they look at old Charlie Brown cartoons and he's trying to write a letter and the ink goes everywhere because he's using a fountain pen.
Right. Yeah.
That's a joke that is lost to the ages.
To the ages, yes. All right.
So speaking of technology, let's go to the future with Starfinder.
Starfinder. So Starfinder Afterlight is a CRPG announced by Paizo and Epic.
I just want to say I'm so happy to hear the letters CRPG. That is the correct way to describe a computer role-playing game. It is not an RPG, it's a CRPG.
CRPG is a big difference.
An RPG is a role-playing game played with paper. Mm-hmm. If it's on a computer screen, it's a CRPG.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. And you know what? And RPGs get that. They get to make that claim because they came out first.
Yeah, damn it. Yeah. Get off my
See?
lawn. We'll put a tiny onion around my belt. There was a fashion at the time.
Goddamn clouds. No. All right, anyway, so Starfinder Afterlight is a computer role playing game, and it's based on Starfinder, as we said. It is a single player game, so you'll be playing this by yourself. It's not like an online MMO or anything like that.
Good.
But there is a party, so I guess it's you running your party, where players assemble a crew of misfits from the Pact Worlds. So that makes sense, because you always want to play the misfits. That's the fun ones to play. It has branching storylines, meaningful choices, and consequences using turn-based combat from using Starfinder Second Edition mechanics. So
already getting my vote because I love turn-based combat in a video game.
And it's going to be using the game mechanics. So if you're familiar with it and you go to play the CRPG, you will not have any issues because you won't have to figure out, well, how does this thing stack or what is this based on or whatever. You'll know because you'll have your character and you'll be like, oh, I know what I can do.
Well, I'm jumping the gun here because I know you've already got something written about how it's inspired by Baldur's Gate's success.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's one of the reasons Baldur's Gate is a fun video game or computer RPG because it's turn-based and it uses D&D rules.
Yeah. So let's see. They have unique companions. I don't like the word unique. People ever use it anyway. Each with
the worst is when somebody says something is the most unique.
The most unique, or it's kind of unique. It's like no.
Unique means there's one.
There's one. You can't be kind of or most.
Can't be more unique, and you can't be kind of unique.
It's like if you want to use unique, think of it as the word in the same way you would use the word pregnant. You're not kind of pregnant. You're not mostly pregnant. You're not. I mean, I guess you could.
That's the most pregnant I've ever seen someone. No.
Exactly. Anyway, so like I said, it's inspired by Baldur's Gate. And let's see. So let's get into some of the technical details. So apparently there is about 40 to 60 hours of gameplay, which I think is
that a lot?
Almost perfect for a video game.
Is it? I don't know. I don't really play video games, so that doesn't seem like much.
Well, no. Think about it. Like when you sit down and play a video game, unless you're like 15 and you don't have anywhere to go or anything to do, I guess perfect for us, right? Because like, how much time can you actually sit down? How much time could you actually sit down and play a video game? What, 2 hours maybe tops?
Oh, wow. How could I get 2 hours to do that?
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Tops, squeeze in 2 hours tops, right?
Yeah, you're right. So that'd be 20 sessions.
Yeah.
2 hours. That's, okay.
I like that because it's not too long, but it's also not too short. So if you're somebody who doesn't have like boatloads of time, I think it's great.
I guess if you think of playing a video game kind of like binge watching a TV series.
Yeah, there you go.
Like how much time do I have to really watch The Sopranos? I mean, how many hours of The Sopranos were there?
Oh,
there were probably 100 hours. I don't know.
If there was, something like that. I don't know. Yeah. Sure. All right. Anyway, so I had multiple difficulty settings. That's cool.
86. There were 86 episodes of 86 hours of Sopranos. So yeah. Okay.
All right. Has a full voice cast, which I don't know why they even list that because of
okay, so they didn't just get one person to do all the voices. But I will say this. Okay, have you played the Starfinder audio game?
No, I've not.
It's on Alexa. There's an Alexa skill where you can play Starfinder as an audio game, which is a really cool idea.
You told me about this. You said you liked it.
I love it because it's fun to drive your car and play a game while you drive. Although they've kind of messed it up since, so it doesn't work in your car anymore. So I'm like, well, what the fuck? I mean, where are you going to play this thing? But their voice cast on it was obnoxious.
Yeah.
And I think most video game voices are obnoxious because they're very corporate. So I'm withholding my judgment until I hear these voices because they're usually pretty corporate.
Yeah. Let's see. It has a soundtrack. There's some guy named Eduardo de la Iglesia, which I have no idea who that is.
Well, he must be important because they've decided to say who's doing it.
Yeah, that's true. It's gonna be mod support. It's only for PC via Steam. So Apple, it's not gonna be for Apple.
Well, does that mean because all right, so obviously there's Steam on Mac and there's Steam on PC.
Okay.
But it was announced a month or two ago that the next version of Steam for the Mac will be able to play all the PC games.
Well, then it should work, right?
So, but I don't know if I'm right about that because I don't really follow the computer video gaming world as much. But I
Mhm.
think we'll be able to play it on the Mac.
Okay, well that'd be great.
But I guess so. This is what's confusing me. Does
Uh-oh.
that mean if
Looks
you
like
have a
looks like Brian has a Mac.
Oh yeah, no, he does. He got a new Mac recently. I see lots of awesome swear words in there. But I'm a little confused. Maybe somebody in this chat can help me understand this. I thought if you had like a Steam Deck, that you could play all the games for the PC on your Steam Deck.
I have no idea.
So I don't know. I thought Steam meant that basically if it runs on Steam, you can play it.
I don't know. I don't know anything about it. To be honest with you, I've never used Steam at all.
I have a Nintendo Switch. I have a PlayStation 5. I had a Steam Deck, but I sold it. And I've got my computers and all. I should theoretically be able to play any game. I haven't turned any of my video consoles on in over a year. Maybe 2
Yeah,
years.
me neither. I just don't have time.
No.
I was making Patreon stuff or something like that.
But
Anyway,
I would try this. I would try this because Starfinder, I think, probably lends itself better to a solo video game than to an RPG. Because I'm just going to be honest, it's kind of I think it's a crappy RPG.
okay.
I think it's orcs in space.
Yeah.
And it kind of lets down. It doesn't give you the. I don't know. I can't find myself caring about its world in a pen and paper RPG setting, but in a computer RPG, I could probably have a great time.
Well, you and me are the same with this when it comes to like science fiction. We like our science fiction, hard as a rock, right?
Yeah.
And this is not that.
Yeah. So. I mean, if somebody says my ship is going to go light speed, I'm like, okay, we're going to talk about the time dilation issues. We're going to talk about what happens when you hit a planet with the wrong gravity. We're going to discuss these issues. And if you want to go to another planet, we're going to figure out some sort of logical reason that you're capable of getting there. And it doesn't mean you're literally going faster than light. If you tell me you have faster than light, I don't want to have anything to do with your RPG.
Right. Because that's stupid.
Yeah. That's like, I'm going to be lighter than nothing.
Right. That's true. That's exactly right. All right. So there's a Kickstarter campaign for this, but it hasn't. It's planned, but hasn't launched yet, and the funding goal and timeline are currently unknown. So this is coming. We don't know when or where or how much or any of that.
Well, I'll tell you this. I will say this: Paizo has one of the best reputations and track records for getting things done of anybody out there. I think their track record is better than Wizards.
Oh, probably.
And I don't know who Epic Tellers Entertainment is, but I doubt that Paizo would work with somebody that wasn't going to come through. So I'm sure this will be fine, and I'm sure it'll be fun.
As they like to say, they've got their shit together.
They do have it together.
Yes. All right. Next story.
All right. So the next story, Free League, which the moment we hear the words Free League, our ears perk up because one of the things that James Carpio, our partner, our departed partner, always felt was that Free League made the best stuff. If Free League was doing it, James wanted to play it. So right off the bat, okay, let's pay attention. Their new role-playing game is like Zelda Breath of the Wild, but with jacked penguins. Okay. So Zelda Breath of the Wild, of all the Zelda games, it's one of the most open world of them. Too much in my opinion, because when I played Zelda, I just got bored. I'm like, there's nothing to do.
Right.
But it's great for, looking at it from an RPG perspective. So what they have here is Twilight Sword. Is that the name of the game? Twilight Sword.
Twilight Sword. Yep.
The artwork that we see here is very JRPG. And it's designed by an Italian studio called Two Little Mice, who we love. They won one of the Golden Fez Awards this year for Outgun.
I think they won the big one, didn't they?
I don't know.
For Outgun? Didn't Outgun win the Golden Fez? I think it did.
You know what? I'm going to go look. I'm going to go find out because I don't know. I guess I could go to goldenfez.com.
You could. Goldenfez.com. I've heard of this. Hey, we need to make an announcement on that soon, man.
Yeah, we need to get people to start submitting for the next Golden Fez. But the 2025 Golden Fez winners, Outgunned, where were they? They were the Game of the Year award. Yes.
Yep. They won the Golden Fez.
They won the Golden Fez. Okay, so this is the studio that won the excuse me, Golden Fez. They announced it at Gen Con with a release date planned for next year. And it'll be a compact hardcover book. So that's interesting. Not the usual big textbook sized ones. About 8x5. I mean, not exactly, a little small, but whatever. Like a half size book. It says it opens into a square.
That was cool. Like, so when you open it, it's going to be like square.
Neat.
That's pretty neat.
So inspired by Zelda, Final Fantasy, and Studio Ghibli. Fair enough. The setting is a lush fantasy world with 5 kins. That's called Radia. So this is the second time I've heard kin used. Because we used to, all the old RPGs, when you want to talk about different species, you call them races. The orcs, the giants, the trolls, the whatever. And that's kind of following in the old language use of the word race, like the human race. And as time progressed and people had, words only mean what everybody agrees they mean.
Right.
If anybody ever tells you like a word has an inherent meaning, they're an idiot, because they're just a shared agreement. So the shared agreement in the world was that race meant more about ethnicity than it did about a word like the human race. And so it became a loaded phrase. And now game designers in general are trying to sort of step away from that because they don't want to imply anything. So species has been the word that a lot of people are going to. But species is kind of weird, right? Because it's like animals.
Yeah.
When you think of a species, you usually think of an animal species. You don't think of different sapient species.
Right.
So this is the second time I've seen a game decide to use the word kin to replace races.
Kin works. Kin's fine. Because you've heard the term kinfolk and stuff like that. I mean,
I don't know. We'll see. It isn't winning with me right now. When I hear, what's your kin? I don't know. Maybe it'll grow on me. I think we haven't found the right word yet, because species sounds too animalistic. Kin sounds a little too twee for me. But whatever. So in here they use kin. So the 5 different kin are the Huma, the Kedi, Pengu.
I couldn't find the other 2.
Okay. 2 more. Okay.
Yeah, there's 2 more. Yeah.
So the Huma are the humanoids, Kedi are the small cat-like people, and the Pengu are the muscular penguin people, described as kind of our orcs. Okay. I'm ready for that.
Sure.
Players travel the land to generate hope by completing tasks, exploring landmarks, and defeating bosses. Hope unlocks new feats and reduces desperation in your NPCs. So it sounds like they've got a morale mechanic in there. And then
not the biggest fan of that, but it's, I mean, you know what? I'm not going to knock it because at least it's positive.
Well, I kind of like it because I like wargaming. And, morale should be introduced in more RPGs, I think. Right. Because so many RPGs are just about punch him in the face until he dies. But the truth is, most battles are won when the other side breaks and runs.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. That's it. Yeah. That's it. Like almost every battle is fought that way.
Yeah.
If you read any books on like actual like real world combat and everything, they'll tell you that basically what happens is you fight until one side breaks, and once that side breaks, they're screwed.
Yeah. I mean, anybody who's an actual tactician or who's been in the military or who studied strategy knows that willpower is probably the most important element in a battle, more than technology, more even than supply lines sometimes. So I mean, it's why Ukraine is holding out against Russia, because they've got morale, they've got that. And it's why in all the things I've seen where they talk about what will happen in China against Taiwan, is that Taiwan's number one hope is that they've got more morale. That they're more driven to hold out. So in this game, if they have a desperation mechanic, which is like a morale mechanic, that's pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah. So rules light but crunchy. I don't know what that's going to mean. I like the concept.
Yeah, it said something about like I was reading somewhere something about because I didn't write a whole book on this, but it was basically like it's easy until you want it to be more crunchy. Like, so maybe they have optional rules or something like that. Maybe they have because again, they haven't released it yet or anything. They're still very much in development. But I think the plan is to have a game that is very easy to play, but then if you want more complexity, somehow you can ramp it up or something.
Yeah. So they're claiming it's accessible like Morkborg, but with satisfying mechanics. So I hope what they mean is that Morkborg does not have satisfying mechanics, and they will. Because
Okay.
Morkborg does not have satisfying
Fine
mechanics.
mechanics, right?
Morkborg, I mean, I feel like it's kind of, I think Morkborg's time is over.
Yeah, you think it was a big flash in the pan?
I think Morkborg is over, and now it's Shadowdark's world.
Right.
Because Morkborg was all about the cool aesthetic.
Mm-hmm. It did have a cool aesthetic, though.
Yeah, and everybody made something for it, and that's great. And you got Pirate Borg, and you've got Space Borg, and whatever else. But I think that time, I don't think it's got legs long term.
Right.
And will Shadowdark have legs long term? I can't say, but it's their turn right now. Yeah. So if these guys are doing something that's okay, not purely narrative or improv based, I like this emphasis on danger and survival, despite the cute aesthetic.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
So, and like we said, it's Free League. So if Free League is doing it, they're not gonna make garbage.
And what's interesting is that Free League, this is their Free League praises Two Little Mice's passion and creativity. So that's good. So Free League is really excited to work with Two Little Mice, and we already know Two Little Mice makes great games.
Yeah.
So this is probably going to be really, really good.
Yeah. So it says it's a departure from their usual style, embracing anime and whimsical fantasy. And anybody who knows me personally knows that I just don't like anime. It's just not my thing.
Right.
And honestly, it's not because of anime. It's not anime's fault that I don't like it. It's all these weeaboos' fault that I don't like.
I gotcha.
Because you got all of these nerdy white guys who can't get a date who decided to buy like anime pillows and hump their pillows, and it's just gross.
I actually know somebody at work who I really think is like that, just from seeing their personal laptop screen from time to time. And I'm like, oh, he's like, and he closed his top real quick. I think he might be one of those.
Yeah. So I mean, so that being said, I guess my point is that if you can pull the anime style away from those people, which you can, Studio Ghibli, for example, everything they do, unbelievable. And there are some, I'll admit it, there are some manga that I've read that are just incredible. There's one about this kid who is the I guess Jesus Christ comes back as a teenager, and Hitler shows up at one point, and just crazy things happen. And it's there's some good stuff. You just got to stay away from the weeaboos.
Yeah.
But their style looks really fun. It looks pretty, it looks cute, it looks whimsical, and you still can die. So that's a good mixture.
Good mix.
So I'm looking forward to seeing what this is like.
Yeah. All right. We're down to the last thing.
The last and the coolest and the best.
I think so.
Time to show off.
I think so.
All right. So just to give people who are listening a background here, we have a Patreon, and we're very, very, very grateful that we have a very healthy number of people who are contributing to the Patreon every month. It makes a huge difference. We have to pay a lot of bills to run this little side business of ours. We have to pay warehouse bills and tax bills and lawyer bills and bills and bills on the bills. And so when somebody throws in $5 or $10 a month to help us pay those bills, it allows us to focus on making games. And so part of what we do is to put out stuff in bits and pieces that only the Patreon folks can get. Mm-hmm. And Peter is really the brains and the brawn behind making all of this happen, and has been working his tiny little non-existent butt off.
He's correct about that. The
yeah.
Butt. Yeah.
Go look at Peter sometime. The belt's not enough. It's just the pants fall down. And has done some amazing new stuff. So toot your own horn and tell people what they're getting if they're in Patreon this month.
Yeah. All right. So start out I counted it out because I got to the end of this month, and the worst part of it was that I was very busy. Like I had my buddy David came down for a weekend, and we worked on some stuff, some future stuff for Solarian. And then we went on we did our family vacation this past weekend, so I was like cramming this stuff in. So any of our current patrons who listen to this, there was a little bit of a thing I had to fix near the end of the, like, I don't know, the last day or two, because I was just working late at night and just trying to get it done. Because I promised I would get this stuff out every month, and I kept my promise. I got it out the last night at the last minute, but I had to fix a couple things. But anyway, 52 pages of material this month. 52. That's nuts. At our navigator level, we have the World Book for Portugal, and that is the country of Portugal and how you can use it in a top secret setting. So the goal was with the word, whenever you see the word World Book on here, because there's countries and then there's agencies. It's to help administrators craft their stories and adventures. So one of the things that Scott Congable and I were talking about, we've talked about multiple times, and Jason, you and I have had this discussion. How do we get people playing the game? What is one of the big, like, speed bumps in the road? And one of them is how do you craft adventures for it? Because it's complex. I mean, it's not like D&D where you can just say, oh, well, there's a monster you have to kill and he has a treasure and you go do that, right? It's, oh, there's this intriguing spy story, and like they're just harder to craft because you have to know more, and you have to like think more. And so making it easier for people, like, because if you buy a game, you want to play a game, you don't want to do a lot of work. You don't want it to be a job just to play a game. So that's what I did. I decided I was going to make all these world books and stuff. So it goes through and it tells you about the country. The first couple of pages are like, how big is the country? What kind of country is it? What kind of government do they have? How do you get, what is it like going across the border? Do you have to sneak in? Can you just get your visa and go in and just need a passport? Can you just walk over it without, like from Germany to France and not even, talk to anybody or whatever? So that kind of stuff. And then I go into like what kind of governmental stuff they have. So like, their army, their navy, the air force, and then, what kind of secret services do they have? Cause you're spying. So what kind of counter agencies are you going to run into? And then like I list some corporations that you might go up against for whatever reason. And some of them are legitimate. Some of them are criminal organizations. And then I throw in some plot points like, here, this is something you could do with the team. And then the last half of the book is like mission ideas. And they're basically just very bare bones missions. I don't say what you do this point and this point and this point and this point. I say, this is what the mission is about. And here are things that you could do in it. And then you, as the administrator, you have to put all it together. You have to build an adventure with it, but you have all these ideas of stuff you can do with it. So that takes a bit of writing and stuff. So I got Portugal. I did Portugal this month. Last month was Colombia. I've done South Korea and Algeria, and Brian did Canada for us. He lives up in Canada, so he did Canada for us. That was cool.
I'm not your buddy, guy.
Right? Hey. And so then the next thing is the beta rules for the Tradecraft guide. So this is rules that have not been 100% vetted. They're not 100% complete. They're like 99% complete.
Think of it like if you are somebody who is of the age to have received Dragon Magazine in the mail.
Yeah.
There would be things in Dragon Magazine that were not canon yet, but you'd worked it out.
Yeah.
And so this is like that.
Yeah, so like if you got like the anti-paladin in Dragon, right? It wasn't the final thing. It wasn't part of the official game just yet or whatever, but it could be. There's no reason why it couldn't be. And these are rules that Scott wrote for us. He sent us this book. What was it, 5 years ago? And we were just trying to figure out how to get it published.
Illusion.
What's that?
Time is an illusion.
It is.
Lunchtime, doubly so.
Right. But it was also one of those things where like fitting it in the pipeline, production is very complex. So anyway, it doesn't matter. We figured out a way to put these rules out for people working with Scott. He's very happy we're doing it this way. And eventually the book itself is going to come out like a full book. It will
be a book.
Yeah. And that will be 100% official. This is just the in-between. It's basically just telling you how to do more stuff with your tradecraft. He breaks the tradecrafts down. So whereas we have a paragraph in our book, there is like paragraphs, pages in some cases in his, where he's like, you do this, then you do this, and here's how you roll it. These are the things you add. These are the things to consider. These are like benefits and risk reward, as he likes to say.
Yeah, I love that. Scott is this philosophy of game design that you should always balance risk and reward.
Hmm.
Perfectly legitimate philosophy. And it's a good thing to keep on your mind when you're designing the rules, because it means that you have to always give the players an opportunity to push it a little bit further for a bigger reward. And
Yeah.
it means a lot in mechanic terms. So it's helped us in how we think about growing the game.
Yeah. So those first two are pretty beefy and pretty like prolific. So they go in the navigator level. And then we go down to the seeker level, which is one level below. And that is so I got the world book for Hexon. Now Hexon is one of our corporations. And we decided to make almost all of our own corporations. If we're going to talk about them, they're going to be our corporations.
Yeah, we
And
can't use real world corporations and say that they're killing babies, because then
yeah,
we get sued. So
yeah,
there's some place called Hexon.
right.
Relation? Nothing. They're probably closest to Mattel.
Yeah, sure.
I'm
And so they are an oil company and well, an energy company. They list themselves as an energy company. I had to make that important. That's an important distinction. But it goes to the same thing that countries that I did with countries. It's pretty much the same concept. This is the company. This is how big they are. This is where they operate. These are the their main competitors. Just all that kind of background stuff. And then there's a whole set of missions that that you can craft out of that. Well, why does Icon give a crap about Hexon? Why do I need this as administrator? Oh, here's why, and here's the stuff they can get into. Now with Hexon, unlike the other corporations that I've listed or that I've done so far, I kind of leaned into Hexon being bad guys. They're kind of bad guys in the world because
you got to have some. I mean, this is in the grand tradition of 80s movies. There's
yeah,
always a good corporate bad guy.
yeah, that was my idea. Most of the other ones I've been really ambiguous about. They can be bad guys, they can be good guys, whatever. I don't really care. They can be a little bit. They can be a bit of both. Sometimes they can be kind of a bad guy, but also kind of a good guy. It's a trade off. Uh, Hexon just kind of leaned into them being kind of bad guys. I wanted a bad
Yeah.
guy in our world. And I go through all that kind of stuff. And the logo. I just want to talk about the logo real quick because it's very geeky and sciencey. That that logo, the reason why they use a hexon and why it has that symbology in it, if you take that lightning bolt thing out of the middle of it, that is a oh my god, now I can't think of the word. It's a shit. It's a molecule that is the base molecule for gasoline. It's a
Oh.
shit. Now I can't think of benzene. That's it. Sorry, I don't know why I couldn't think of it. So it's a benzene molecule.
Okay.
Which is essential to oil production and gasoline and stuff. So I thought that would be a great icon to play around for them for their symbol. But of course, since they can't trademark the benzene molecule, they threw their little electric bolt on there. And I say in the history of it, in the history of their organization, that they used to actually have like an oil drop in there, but since they greenwashed their company, they said, "Oh no, we produce energy. We're not a fossil fuel company." But if you read through the book, it tells you that they greenwash. They don't care about renewable energy. They just say that so people will leave them alone. They invest pittance into it and then like blow it up like, oh, we invest in solar farms. They don't care about their solar farms.
Right.
So anyway, all right, I'll go through the rest of these pretty
We
quick.
won't get into who we're talking about, but there are real world examples of companies. Well, okay, there are real world examples of
Examples.
companies. There's examples of lumps. There are real world examples of companies acting with the power of a state.
Yes.
And doing those kind of things. And that is not like a 21st century or even a 20th century thing.
No.
That's an 18th or even a 17th century thing.
Dude, the British teak, was it the
British East India Trading Company?
Yeah, prime example.
So they went to India with like 50 or 100 bureaucrats and conquered a subcontinent. They did not have the power of the crown. They were not a government agency. They were a private corporation that colonized an entire country on their own. They just went out and did it. And then afterwards they went to the queen and said, "Hey, look what we did." And the queen's like, "Okay, good.
Sure.
Thanks, I guess." So, when we have somebody in the 20th or 21st century where you have some private company that goes and funds a rebellion against a government or decides to enslave a bunch of diamond miners or whatever it might be. That happens. It really actually happens. And
Dude, it's
so they make
happening
for
right
some very
now.
good game villains.
Yes. Yeah, and I got the idea because I watched. It was back in the day. It was back when Vice first started.
Where they were good.
One of their really cool stories they had was about oil companies and how, like, operating in Nigeria, and how they literally just kind of moved in with their army because and it makes sense that they would have like an army because they're digging these, they're investing millions and millions of dollars into pumping oil out of the ground, and they don't want the, any kind of local rebels or anything like that interfering with their business. So they bring in their mercenaries to protect it. So they literally have their own little army that runs around.
It's crazy how when we are young enough, we think that the world operates under rules.
Yeah, right.
You know, and then as you get older and you start discovering that there's mercenaries running all over the globe, the only place that rules matter is in the level you can enforce them.
Yeah.
So if you're in a place where you cannot enforce the rules and somebody else decides to do it, they're going to do it. And so this makes for prime fodder for our international espionage game, where we know there's real world examples like the Wagner Group running around out there operating as semi-autonomous state agents on their own. And so here's Hexon doing their thing.
Yep. So anyway, so I go into the whole thing. Like, I did a lot of writing on this, and this is something I've been wanting to do this book for about 5 years now. So I was really happy to do it. It really made me feel good. So there's that. And then the other secret reward is something I've been working on for the past couple of months that I finally wrapped up, and it's Minions for Top Secret. Now, a minion, huh?
Not the little yellow guys.
No. Well, actually, I put a poll out on our page. I said, what do you guys like? Do you like brutes, minions, henchmen? Like, what name would you guys like to call them? And the vast majority of people voted for minions, so that's what they are.
Minions it is.
So I let our fans pick. I let you guys pick it. So what this is, they're not even like, so if you look at Bond movies, you got Jaws, and you got the guy with the hat. Was it Top Job?
Odd Job. Yes,
Odd Job. Right. And then you got like the twins. Remember the not that they weren't really twins, but it was the two guys in the old. Right. Yeah. Anyway, they wouldn't be minions. They would still be full on character. You'd still make them as full.
Right. The minions are the ones that you never learn their name and they never get a name. They never get a line in the movie.
Right. Or if
they're
they
the ones that get shot and fall over the railing.
Exactly. And that's something that Scott and I talked about. I ran this by Scott and we talked about it. He is very excited about this because he's always like, yeah, I want them to have people to fight, but like, how do I do that without giving them trade craft and all that kind of stuff? So I designed this whole system around that. Like, this is something that an administrator can put together a group of minions in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And it totally makes sense. So I'm really hoping people will play it and give me feedback on it.
Please do.
Yeah. Please give me feedback. It's because again, it's beta rules. We can change things.
Yeah. I mean, again, sometimes it's going a little bit 80s action movie with it, but I was just watching an 80s action movie with a bunch of minions in it last night.
Yeah.
And it's one that I didn't even know this movie existed. Have you ever heard of the movie Bulletproof? Adam Sandler and Damon Wayans.
Yes, I did see that. I saw that. Yes.
Never heard of it. Never saw it. So I've not finished watching it, but who cares? I don't need any spoiler alerts. The point is, it is classic 80s movie in all the way, with all those big action scenes where all the guys show up in the warehouse and they're looking over with their guns, and then they're pow, 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 and you take them down and a bunch of minions just fall over the railings. Right. That's a fun scene in a game.
Like Last Boy Scout.
I don't know what that is.
That was a Bruce Willis, and I think Damon Wayans again.
I need to watch it because Bruce Willis. Well, it's not one of those movies Bruce Willis did when he knew he needed to just make a bunch of money, is it?
Oh no, this is early Bruce Willis.
So very good early. Bruce Willis. I mean, look, every Bruce Willis is good Bruce Willis. I'm not gonna. He was so smart to do this, knowing that he had this future where he wouldn't be able to act anymore. And he wanted to set up his family. I mean, what a selfless man.
Yeah.
You know, to go out and just say, I'm going to do every movie that anybody wants to cast me in and take the money and put it into something for my family.
Yeah, no, that was
Um,
good.
doesn't mean you should watch those movies.
Right.
But yeah, so if it's a Bruce Willis movie from like the Moonlighting era or whatever,
Yeah,
great, great.
absolutely. All right, so basically, just real quick, I'll wrap this one up. A couple of things that I put in there. I've got like Yakuza, like the regulars, enforcers, and lieutenants, thugs, military. I got some police, CIA, FBI, and then a bunch more. A couple Scott asked me to add, which I put in at the very end because I had two slots open. I said, Scott, what would you like?
Mm-hmm.
So I put those in. And then the free one, which I was going to make this one of the paid ones, but I've decided that we need to give people some stuff for free
Yeah,
because,
why not?
we want to encourage folks
Why
to just
not?
be part of the, just join us. So something I've been working, this is another thing I've been working on for a couple of months. This is all like done in there's formulas. This is all very mathematically done.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of research went into this, but you now have 39 more long arms for top secret. And if you go back to last month, there's 40 handguns. Don't ask me why there's 39 rifle long arms. I don't know why it's 39, not 40. It just went up with 39. And I was running out of time. I was going to add another one, but I'm like, no, I'm already late. 39 it is. So we'll keep adding to it. But for right now, 39 of those, 40 handguns. You've got 79 weapons.
I haven't read all of them. Have you put an AR-18 in there?
No, there's no AR-18.
We got to get that Armalite.
We can add that, sure.
Yeah, we got to get that Armalite in there.
I added the new AK. So, there's a new AK that came out just
Mm-hmm.
recently, and it's by Russia India Arms. So it's an Indian weapon, but it's based off the AK.
Well, my I've decided that my long-term life plan is to emigrate to Ireland. And so, I've got the AR-18 on my mind because of that.
Okay. All right, cool.
But yeah.
So that's cool. I mean, there's not much more to say about that. It's just they're really spelled out. I think everybody's going to love that. Getting a lot of good feedback about that. And then last thing I want to say about the Patreon is next month, coming up. Next month's going to be one of the months that's coming up, obviously. But coming soon, shotguns. I've got bows. I redid melee weapons, so that's going to be really cool.
Great.
I have ideas for grenades. Like I'm started playing with that. I'm figuring that out. And other things like mines.
Cocktail. Can you get a Molotov cocktail?
I could do that. I can do Molotov cocktail. Sure.
Great.
And then some of the agencies that are coming up, I have one called XOR. It's XOR, and it's a sort of like it's a space program. It's like it's not any one of them. It's kind of like an amalgamation of all of them. And then again, also none of them. So,
you know what I wonder? Okay, this is just me thinking out loud because I don't know what their copyright situation is. But can you imagine if we just took the Anarchist Cookbook and just statted it out?
Oh, yeah. I've been afraid to download that friggin' thing because I've always been afraid to buy it or download it because I'm always worried that somebody's going to be my name's going to go on a list somewhere.
Yeah, you're on a list anyway, buddy.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. No, there were two great publishing houses back in the day from like the 1970s to the 90s. They were Paladin Press and Loom Panics.
Okay.
These two publishing houses would put out stuff that absolutely tested the limits of the First Amendment.
Right.
It pushed the First Amendment to its absolute breaking point. Paladin Press pushed it so far that they went out of business because of it.
Are they getting sued or?
Yeah. You probably heard of this one. They published a book called something like The Hitman's Handbook.
Oh my God. Okay.
Basically, it was written by somebody who claimed to have been a professional hitman.
Mm-hmm.
And he described how to be a hitman, how to get clients, how to do the assassinations, the whole ball of wax.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Somebody bought the book and used it and killed someone with it. Not with the book, with a gun.
Killed him with the book.
Yeah, just bashed him over the head with the book. So somebody took the Hitman's Handbook or whatever it was called, and they followed all the instructions in it, and they did a hit.
Mm-hmm.
And the family of the murdered victim sued Paladin Press saying, you told this person how to kill our loved one.
Yeah.
And it was a huge question as to, what are the limits of the First Amendment in this case. I don't remember how it really turned out, but what it basically did was it caused the company to go out of business.
Right. They probably didn't make a ton of money to begin with, and whether they were wrong or not, they wouldn't have had the money to fight something like that.
Yeah, there's plenty of interesting podcasts and books about what happened there. And Loompanics, on the other hand, in fact, I'm going to grab one. Give me just 1 second. You talk to
Sure.
the people while I grab
Yeah,
the
I'll keep
latest
talking.
Loompanics book that I just bought.
So, like I said, we got the space agency coming up, private space agency. I got something called Show4, so it's SHO4, kind of play on words. They are sort of like a kind of a Uber, but also they're self-driving cars. So it's Uber mixed with self-driving cars kind of thing. And I thought that would make for some really cool adventures. And then Blue Adapt, which is going to be our computer company, kind of like Apple, but they'll be like Microsoft. You'll still have Microsoft and Apple in the world. This will be a startup with that's only been a couple years old, that has their own operating system that is
Cool.
challenging everything else, and of course it's going to run off of like AI as part of the processor and everything, because that makes for fun adventures.
All right, so I'm back with my Loompanics and Paladin Press rant. So Paladin Press, they did all their stuff. Loompanics also had this thing. You could just buy the Loompanics catalog, not buy it. Maybe you did have to buy it. Might have been $2, but they had literally hundreds of titles, and there was ones about like how to survive in prison, how to make homemade alcohol, how to make drugs, how to do this and that.
Oh my God! All right.
There was a great book called How to Disappear, which gave you all the steps if you wanted to just disappear from society, how you would do it. And another one that was somebody who I was a fan of back in the 80s, and now I'm friends with in real life. I just got a copy of this book.
Surviving on the Streets.
Yeah, How to Go Down Without Going Out by Ace Backwards. And in this, it is a book about how to be homeless. It is literally like, if you're going to be a homeless person, here are all the things you need to know about where to get food, where to sleep, how to deal with the police, what to do when somebody catches you hanging out in a university hallway at 2 a.m. Just, it's a whole handbook. And here's the thing. So Ace, this guy right here, his real name's Peter. He, to this day, is still homeless on purpose. He lives in the Berkeley Hills. He has a campsite up where nobody can find it. He takes care of all the feral cats in the Berkeley Hills.
Okay.
He has one cat named Minnie Scaredy, who is his cat. This cat will come to this camp every night and depends on him, and he depends on the cat. And he's just living this lifestyle because he's like, you know what? I live somewhere that the weather, it's never winter. I have a nice tent. I go down and I eat at restaurants, and I drink at bars, and I hang out with my friends, and I go back to my campsite at the end of the night.
Wow.
He's just made his life out of it. And so, so he wrote some books for them. He also wrote another one called The Ace Backwards Guide to Dumpster Diving. And so that's the kind of publishing houses these were. And I think maybe one of them was the ones who put out the Anarchist Cookbook. But the point is, if you bought a bunch of those books anyway, yeah, you're on a list. So why not get the Anarchist Cookbook, put some top secret stats in it? And if we could get away with it, like if we could legally do it, if the copyright holder was no longer pursuing it, we could probably do that.
Wow. Well, I don't know. Let's look into it.
We'll think about it.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's the Patreon. That's what we've been doing. And look, if you're listening to this and you're not a Patreon, you're not a patron. I keep screwing this up. You're not a patron yet.
If you're listening to this, to be honest.
Yeah. You really should. Because there's a free level. There's a free level, and you're going to get stuff for the free level. And then it also opens up, like information, like we share stuff there. Have you considered? Have we ever considered opening the free level up to people in the Discord, or is that too much?
Should just why not?
Okay, maybe we'll do that for next week. It's too late this week to do it, but
yeah.
But yeah, you should come join our Patreon, because you're going to find stuff. And I haven't decided this yet. Jason and I, you and I have to talk about this. Like what we're going to do. When are we going to start archiving stuff? Because at some point we got to start saying this is, because if you could join, a year from now and then just download everything from before and then quit. right? And I don't know if I'm okay with that or not. I haven't talked about it. It's been on my mind a
You
little
know, with
bit.
any of these things, I like going on the honor system because
Okay.
everybody knows that if you're doing a tabletop company, you're not probably doing this as your main job.
Yeah.
You're doing this as your side gig, unless you're, Peter Atkinson or somebody. And I like to think that the people who get involved with it, they're not donating to the Patreon just because of what they get, but because they want to support us.
Right.
So if somebody comes in and says, I want to game the system, join a year late, take everything, pay for 1 month, and then disappear. Okay. I mean, if that's the way you want to do it, fine.
That's fair. You know what? That's fair. And then what I might do though is I might still like start putting prices on these things after like 6 months or whatever, like $1 a piece or something for people in the lower levels if they want to get some of the higher level stuff. They only want one or two things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we should think about that. I mean, we'll come up with some ways to do it, but
Yeah.
I'm just grateful that anybody. The main thing to me is I just want people to play the game.
Yeah.
If it were up to me, I would just say everything's free and please give us money when you can, and it would all work out. I don't think that's necessarily how the world really works, but
No.
I'm just happy for people to play the game and have fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. Me too.
Yeah. All right. So that's it for this week. We did this was week number 55. We've been doing it for a year and 3 weeks. And when we get to number 100, we will do the show naked. We want to keep our subscribers.
Yeah, right.
Let's keep our subscribers. Yeah, we will.
And a big thanks last week for the support, being that I couldn't be here. So
yeah, no, thank you, Kevin, for being an awesome co-host.
Thanks, Kevin.
Have him thank you for being the Joan Rivers to Peter's Johnny Carson.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Thanks to all the people. If you understood that joke, please remember to get your colonoscopy.
I just couldn't. I was with family. I was not going to. I mean, I could have, but I wasn't going to because I was with family, doing my family thing. So.
All right. So subscribe, like, follow, do the things you're supposed to do. If you're a Patreon paid member, you can join us in the after party over on Discord, and we will be there in as long as it takes me to make another drink to fill up my glass.
All right. See you all.